For the integrated project, we have made this video that combines all the courses: macroeconomics, investigative abilities, business law and ethics, and organizational behavior, which we have followed in the third semester. For the project, we have chosen the company Wildlands Adventure Zoo in Emmen. This is an animal adventure park with 1.3 million visitors in 2016, which was the opening year. In Wildlands are 3 themed climate zones: Jungolia, Serenga and Nortica. And there is also an indoor playground. Before 2016, Wildlands was called Dierenpark Emmen, and it was located on the other side of the city center. Because Dierenpark Emmen wanted to expand, it moved to the new location, which is 22 hectares big. The budget for building Wildlands contained 200 million euros. On March 18, 2016, the park was officially opened by King Willem-Alexander. The park was open for public at the 25th of March.
Wat zullen we dit weekend gaan doen?
Met een boot door een olifantenvallei. En dan met apen in touwbruggen klimmen. En op safari.
Ja, natuurlijk. En daarna nog even naar de Noordpool?
Volle kracht vooruit!
Je vindt het allemaal in Wildlands Adventure Zoo Emmen.
This is the economical part of the integrated project. In this part I am going to explain what the effects of aggregate demand and supply are on the economy. I will also explain the effects of unemployment and inflation on wildlands. And lastly, I am going to explain the opportunities for wildlands to expand abroad. First of all, the aggregate demand and supply in the Netherlands has changed over time. When we look at the GDP of the Netherlands compared to the GDP of the world, we can see a healthy and nice growth. The GDP of Drenthe is slightly lower than the GDP of the Netherlands, but still we can see a rise in GDP. This is a new concept moved to the other side of the city center a few years ago. The whole city is benefiting from the new park, because there are a lot of tourists and visitors from the park that also go into the city to do some shopping, to eat something, and even to stay the night in one of the hotels in Emmen. That means that the demand for these shops, restaurants and hotels is going up, which is good for the economy because there will be more supply needed and there will be more jobs created. And that is good for the residents of Emmen because they can spend more money. The unemployment rate in the Netherlands is quite low. Total is even under 5%, as you can see in the table. After the depression of 2007, the unemployment rate has been going down, which is a good thing for the economy, because the people will be spending more money. The new park in Emmen also created job opportunities, not only in Wildlands, but also in the rest of the city, because the demand has gone up. The unemployment in Drenthe is the highest of the country's provinces, and this has a big effect on the province itself. People are moving to other parts of the country to work, and that means that the demand for everything is decreasing fast. That is why it is important to create new jobs and make sure that the people who live there can stay there. Inflation can have a big effect on the economy and also on the organization. When the value of money is decreasing, the prices of the tickets are going up. In real time, the prices are relatively the same, but consumers most often only see the prices from the tickets rise, and that will affect their purchasing power and will stop them from buying tickets for amusement parks and other secondary needs. The inflation rate in the Netherlands is now 1.5% according to Trading Economics. If Wildlands would be considering to expand the organization into another country, I would suggest they go to Germany. The country uses, just like the Netherlands, a new classical approach to the economy, and GDP, unemployment rates and inflation rates are comparable. Wildlands is functioning very well in this economy, and I think they will have the same success in Germany.
For the subject of investigative abilities, it is interesting to talk about research in customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction. However, in the interview we heard that they do not have any research at the moment. What they do as Wildlands is look at the reactions on their social media and on their website, and if they are negative or not. When they have negative reactions, they try to avoid these in the future and come up with solutions. For instance, Wildlands got complaints on their social media about not enough seating place around the park. Their solution was quick and they made more resting places. Wildlands will start doing better research beginning of 2018. We as a group thought about possible ways to do this. To measure customer satisfaction, Wildlands can ask the people who might have ordered tickets online to fill out a questionnaire after they visited the park. This information can be gathered quite easily, for instance by email. But on a downside, this is quantitative data and does not go into depth. At this moment, Wildlands is working on projects to start in 2018 to measure employee satisfaction. They want to know what the likes and dislikes are of their employees and how they can improve these. We would suggest Wildlands uses interviews with their employees. The data they would gather from these interviews will be personal, and the data collected is very useful to improve the working environment for their employees. The person being the interviewer will need to be an active listener, but it also helps to be an observer. Combining these skills will help Wildlands to get the right information and hopefully make the interviewee of more value to the company. With our group, we also used some tools that we use in investigative abilities. To start, we had a brainstorm session. We used this method to get some more creative ideas and see if we all had the same vision for the outcome of our project. As we were working on our project and had chosen Wildlands, we set up a telephone interview with Joshua de Vries, who is a human resource consultant at Wildlands. As a group, we thought it would be a better idea if one person would have the word during the interview. Using a random sample generator, Kirsten was chosen to have the conversation. We did this with the help of naamloten.nl.
Employees at Wildlands can have different contracts, such as seasonal workers, flex workers and skilled workers. Wildlands applies the Leisure Collective Labour Agreement for their employees. Examples of other zoos that make use of this collective labour agreement as well are Abeul, Burger Zoo and Blijdorp. A trademark is a graphical sign that is capable to distinguish a good or service from another company. Criteria for a trademark are: it must be a sign, it has to be a graphic representation and can't be a basic figure, and it needs to be a distinctive character. Wildlands has its own trademark as seen right here. This is a trademark because it's a graphical sign that distinguishes the services that Wildlands offers. The text in the logo points out that it's a zoo in Emmen. Besides that, the animals on the planet represent the fact that different kinds of animals from several parts of the world can be seen in the zoo. This trademark distinguishes itself from others because it's not just a regular graphic sign and because of the name of the zoo is in it as well.
It is very clear that Wildlands do want to take care of its people. However, they do not want to stimulate their employees by giving them a bonus, and they do not work with any type of rewarding system. They believe that this creates a big gap between employees, and this will downgrade their motivation. In contrast, they do make use of trainings. These trainings are given when there is a budget for it. This budget differs every year, so not every year a lot of trainings can be given. But there are some standard trainings. These trainings vary from cutting technique trainings for catering employees to animal healthcare trainings and how to handle aggressive or angry guests. Furthermore, Wildlands is very proud on the fact that they can offer a lot of career opportunities. So the longer you work at the park, the bigger the chance that you will fulfill a higher position. These are called the senior functions, meaning being more in control. There is also the Wildlands Nature and Education Fund. The goal of this fund is to support education, research and conservation, focused on biodiversity. Another goal of this fund is to make people more aware about our culture. They try to do this by making use of activities which broaden the cultural awareness. The money which is raised by organizing the activities are invested in projects which improve education, research and conservation. Energy, water and raw materials are used within Wildlands in a closed cycle. This means that nothing gets lost and these components are used in a sustainable way. The nature is the biggest inspiration for Wildlands. Good examples of this are the water purification with help of plants and bacteria, and the termite ventilation in Jongola. Besides these two examples, Wildlands does more for the well-being of the planet. They make use of trucks which function on rapeseed oil and old frying fat. These trucks are used to carry people around on the savannah. This is the safari part. The frying fat can be used a lot since the restaurants have plenty of frying fat as waste. When we look at the economic effects, it is important that Wildlands has something to offer to its stakeholders. They try to think about outsourcing and investing in infrastructure. Outsourcing is not done at all because they believe that otherwise there is no binding between the employees. All the money they raise is invested in the park to keep improving. Wildlands is really self-aware of sustainability and the development of this. We wanted to figure out if they have a clear vision and mission for the future when we look at sustainable development. Unfortunately, they could not inform us about their plans for the later future because the park lives and functions day to day. And they are not allowed to tell us about their latest ideas and plans. At the moment they are very busy with preparing the building phase of the new roller coaster, which will be built in March next year. This roller coaster will be built in a way that it will not damage the surroundings. With damage we mean noise disturbance, for the people living in the neighborhood and for the animals who live at Wildlands. They are also very active in separating waste and the reuse of this. However, they are aware that they can still improve the separating waste by placing more bins and making their guests more aware of the possibility to separate their waste. Also, they make use of the water purification. The water which is used throughout the whole park is cleaned and then reused again. To make other people aware of sustainability, they organize meetings and lectures for external parties, such as schools and suppliers, but also for their own employees. These external parties can book such lecture, which can be given in the theater hall next to the park.
Wildlands is an adventure zoo park, and the effective and directive process schedule is key to clear task-related operations. If a mistake is being made by an employee, this can have an immediate effect on the animals. So to keep the animals in pristine condition, the steps every employee takes and all the phases they went through should be communicated. The communication is very clear, because when there is an issue, there is always a manager to go to. This is due to the hierarchical structure of the company. Although they've got different levels, the company's culture allows it to communicate openly and directly to everyone. This can also be done in an informal way. But when there is a very important decision that has to be made, this will be done by the CEO together with his supervisory board. And this information was given by our interviewee. Another very important structure that a company has is how the work is divided. There are several different teams in the park, but most of the sporting staff is just divided by the work they do, so that all the employees can substitute one another. The only job in which this is not the case are the zookeepers. They all have their own animals which they take care of. To reduce the feeling of power distance, all employees from all different departments have team building days together. Those team building days are implemented because they have a hierarchical business structure, but to minimize the feeling of a great power distance and to increase the collectivism within the company. This is based on the theory of Geert Hofstede. On these days, everybody can give their input on what they think is important for the company. For example, during one of the team building days, all employees together created the 8 golden rules of wildlands. They showed us this information during an interview on hospitality.
In this video we have applied all the knowledge that we gained in the first semester. It was pleasant to apply this knowledge on a company and learn in a more practical way. We have found out that Wildlands is very efficient in this economy and that they have their own trademark. We also came to know how they contract their employees and how they try to satisfy their employees and visitors. We have gained all this information by using our investigative abilities. We did an interview with a human resource consultant and used a couple of tools we learned to work with. We would like to thank all the lecturers and we would like to thank you for watching.